Hi, everyone. I'm Melissa Smith. I'm the Assistant Curator of Community Programs at the Art Gallery of Ontario. And we are going to explore a visual description of a photograph from the Studio 54 Night Magic exhibition today. So I'm going to start with a land acknowledgement. Today we meet in the virtual world, but I would like to acknowledge that the Art Gallery of Ontario operates on land that is the territory of the Anishinaabe Mississauga Nation and was also the territory of the Wendat and the Haudenosaunee. The Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt Covenant is an agreement between the Haudenosaunee Confederacy and the Anishinaabe Three Fires Confederacy to peaceably share and care for the resources around the Great Lakes. As a settler, I'm grateful to live and work on this land. Recognizing this in a meaningful way helps me to share and uphold responsibilities to the people who live on the land and the land itself. It's a way to be mindful about these commitments. So I'm going to start by describing myself as well. I'm sitting in my apartment at my kitchen counter. There is a white wall with doors in it behind me. I have shoulder-length dirty blonde hair and blue eyes, and I'm wearing bright pink ovoid form Warren Scott earrings and a silver sequin top, all to help us get in the groove of talking about Studio 54. So what is audio or visual description? Audio description is spoken or written language, either recorded or live, describing visual images or objects, enabling blind and partially sighted audiences to engage and pursue their own journey in theater, film, performance, and visual art. While television and theater use pure audio description, for visual arts, we're lucky that we can take on a bit of a creative approach. This involves interpretation combined with description and close looking. This form of audio description is often called creative visual description. At the AGO, our art educators typically include creative visual descriptions in the AGO multisensory tours, and you can also check out our multisensory moments on our Access Programs page, which brought everything into the digital realm. When describing, they establish an initial sense of the artwork, the overall composition, how the eye is drawn towards different elements, how the artist's materials are used and their effects, all in order to form an understanding of the artwork. In the tour context, this description process involves a lot of conversation, questions and answers, and accounting for multiple perspectives. Really profound descriptions are created with a diversity of people working together. Today, I'm going to share a visual description that I've been working on for our Studio 54 exhibition. So to start, I just want to give us a little bit of context. So what is Studio 54? It's no big deal, just one of the greatest nightclubs of all time, maybe. But the AGO is hosting Studio 54 Night Magic exhibition, organized by the Brooklyn Museum. And the exhibition explores how a nightclub, which was open for only 33 months, became the global epicenter for music, fashion, and design. So Studio 54 Night Magic transports visitors back to 1977, when revolutionary creativity, expressive freedom, and sexual liberation transformed a New York City nightclub into a phenomenon. The exhibition features hundreds of objects, including photographs, films, sketches, and designer fashions, and traces the nightclub's trailblazing aesthetics while situating it within the broader social and historical context of the period. To help us do that too, also, I thought I would mention that there are some pretty great songs that were released in 1977, like Dancing Queen by ABBA, Brick House by the Commodores, and Staying Alive by the Bee Gees. So I highly recommend playing your favorite disco jam from 77 while listening to this visual description to add maybe another level of multisensory engagement. So I'm going to just take a moment to share my screen so that we're able to engage with the photograph while we're listening to the description as well. All right. So we're talking about a black and white photograph today taken by Guy Marino, and I'm going to share a bit of context. So Guy Marino is a French fashion photographer who worked with famous magazines like Vogue and famous designers like Yves Saint Laurent. And at this time, his life revolved around Paris, New York, and Milan. The photograph's title is Pat Cleveland on the dance floor during Halston's disco bash at Studio 54 in 1977. And Halston is another fashion designer that was really famous in the 70s. And Pat Cleveland, the model in the image, is actually part of what they used to call the Halstonettes. So a group of models that would kind of roam around town with Halston. So Pat Cleveland is an American fashion icon, one of the first African-American models within the fashion industry to achieve prominence. In 1971, Cleveland moved to Paris and vowed not to return to the United States until a Black model appeared on the American cover of Vogue. She kept true to her word and moved back only after Beverly Johnson became the first Black model to appear on the cover of American Vogue in August 1974. Former American editor-at-large for Vogue magazine, Andre Leon Talley, refers to Cleveland as the first Black supermodel. And we're also excited because we're going to be chatting with Andre Leon Talley later or early in the new year. Here is the description of the photograph. In this black and white photograph, we find Pat Cleveland dancing at Studio 54. The photograph has a vertical portrait layout. In the exhibition, this image will be printed as a mural, taking up a whole wall. For our purposes, let's imagine that this image is printed on a standard 8.5 by 11 page. Pat Cleveland's full dancing body fills the page, but we get a glimpse of a man in the dark club background in the right corner of the image over her left shoulder. He looks off into the distance, distracted, hinting at the dynamic atmosphere beyond. Cleveland pops out of the dark, unsubstantial background wearing a shiny pleated lame gown. She seems to sparkle and scintillate out of the frame in liquid metallic fibers. The dress has sculpted ruffles with a swishing asymmetrical skirt. It's just made for the dance floor. She seems to be forever caught in a twirl, lifting the sides of her dress up to her head, creating the impression of a paper fan with the bottom of her dress. Her calves are exposed, and we can see her sky-high, strappy metallic stilettos. She completes her look with a scarf tied in her hair so that the knot and the ends of the scarf sit fashionably on the left side of her head. Her black curly hair puffs out as bangs over her somewhat indifferent expression, perhaps caught between smiles. The bright flash of the camera creates strong contrast, capturing this moment. The gown described in the photograph is designed by Zendra Rhodes, or pardon me, now Dame Zendra Rhodes, a textile artist turned fashion designer who made a big splash in the 1970s with the establishment's take on punk, which she called conceptual chic. The dress described in the photo became iconic, contributing to both women's careers, and is known as the Pat Cleveland. In closing, I wanted to share a few words from an invitation that was once sent out by the club. Studio 54 invites you to throw caution to the wind and confetti in the air. And I invite you to do something similar this New Year's as we finally say goodbye to 2020. And I'm also hoping to dance it away in my sequins personally. But thank you for watching and listening. I encourage you to try and write your own verbal descriptions or visual descriptions of artworks in our collection. We would love to receive them. You can share them in the comments underneath or at #AGOMix. Thanks so much.